to go live.
There we go. It's
There we go. We are live. Sunny days in Flushing. Thank you everybody for joining us. Actually, we have no viewers, so waiting for people to click on the link. But we're gonna start this out. Couple things happened this weekend. Obviously, the Mets split the series with the Atlanta Braves at home. Now we're moving on to the Twins tomorrow. That's a 3-game set before the road trip. I think we go on a West Coast
before the road trip. I think it starts in Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's a wacky one. I think it's Los Angeles for 3, and then we got a pit stop in St. Louis, somewhere in there to make up a game. It's all over the place. We're traveling west, east, south, back to the east. It's a little bit wacky, so it's going to be tough on the guys. But
this is going to be a tough road trip, and it's
not necessarily the talent. It's just the constant travel.
It's the constant travel. And let's get right into it. So Senga comes back Friday night, pitches an unbelievable 5 innings,
Dynamite.
9 strikeouts. Did he get to 10?
No, he had 9. He finished
9
with 9
strikeouts,
5 1/3, 2 runs allowed.
Obviously, if you guys saw the video, ball pops up, he grabs his leg. So thankfully, not an Achilles. It's a calf strain, but it's a high-grade calf strain, and it's according to Tacoma, it's going to keep him out for the remainder of the regular season, which definitely sucks.
I think the official timeline was 8 to 10 weeks, so it was just the regular season. He can potentially pitch the postseason if we make it that far and need be. But honestly, this is best case scenario given everything. Obviously, you want it to be less than an extended stay on the IL just after he got himself healthy enough to throw again. But one, it's a lower body thing, and it's not off his push leg, it's off his land leg. It's left leg, so his landing leg, and it sucks, but it could have been much worse. If it was an Achilles, look at was it Soroka from the Braves who tore his Achilles on a Citi Field mound, strangely enough. So it could have been much worse, and we got to be thankful that we will have Senga, hopefully, assuming nothing else goes wrong, come next year fully healthy, even sooner than that, maybe.
So with that, there was also a Sean Reed Foley and Reed Garrett update. Reed Foley looks like he's got what one or two rehab assignments.
Today.
He could. Okay.
He started today, and then Garrett will be the end of the week.
Hopefully, and we also lost Dednell Nunez on Friday, 15-day IL. So hopefully 2 weeks from now, Nunez is back. Yep. Before that, you'll have Reed Garrett, and hopefully next week, Sean Reed Foley and Reed Garrett should be back. So that's good to see. And we split the series with the Braves. It's bittersweet. So I think when you're playing a 4-game series with anyone, you want to obviously you always want to take 3 out of 4, but 2 out of 2 is the minimum, right? So at a minimum, the Mets really didn't gain or lose any ground this weekend. They're in the same spot they were in Wednesday after they swept the Yankees. The Braves are a very talented bunch. It just sucks that the Mets offense kind of went dead for these 2 games.
2.5 games.
That sucks, but that happens, and they got to move on. You got to take 2 out of 3 against the Twins here. What do you got on this series?
Yeah, it's definitely bittersweet because you come out of Friday or Thursday rather, and it wasn't the best, it wasn't the cleanest game, but you came and you tagged Sale, you're able to get a win against arguably their best pitcher on the Braves staff, and you walked that off. You had a ton of momentum going into Friday with Senga coming back, and he's electric. The offense explodes in what was the 3rd inning, if I'm not mistaken, 3rd or 4th inning. Mm-hmm. And basically, after his injury, I think the last run was scored in that 5th inning or in the 4th inning. Yeah. And basically, from that injury forward, the Mets struggled to score any runs, and they only scored 2 runs today in the bottom of the 9th or the bottom of the 8th, if I'm not mistaken. So
I think we also underestimate what that does to the psyche of a team, and
100%.
They've got to be mentally stronger than this. There's no doubt about it. They're professional athletes, but that definitely fucks with the psyche of your team when you're waiting all year for your best pitcher to come back from the IL, and then you watch him go down like that and grab his leg, and you're kind of living in fear for a day. wondering what it is and what it could be. So, it was a bittersweet weekend. I mean, I agree with Stevie Mack. Like, you wanted to take
100%.
three, you obviously wanted to take 3 out of 4, but that's a really good team on the other side, right? As much as the Braves have been
100%.
slipping, that's still a really good team with a really good lineup and a really good staff and a really good bullpen. So the other team's trying to win too. We got to remember that.
100%. It's a really good team, and you know what? We took 2 out of 4. If before the Yankees and the Brave series start, you tell any Mets fan that we're going to take 4 out of 6. Everyone's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to take that every day of the week. So it's bittersweet. It kind of sucks how we got there. How it all ended up, but we took 4 of 6 from 2 very good teams.
If you had taken 3 out of 4 from Atlanta and split with the Yankees, the mindset would be
same
much
result,
different.
exactly. Same
but
result.
It's the same result.
Exactly. And you know what? Right now, we can look back in the past as much as we want. Depressed Mr. Met, he said it in the chat. 2 out of 3 from the Twins. You said it as well. 2 out of 3 from the Twins. I mean, that's where we're going to. We're going into the deadline. We have some recent acquisitions here. Jesse Winker, big surprise. We're going to get into that. And who was the other guy from the Mariners? I forget. I can't remember.
Ryan something.
Ryan Stanek. Stanek.
Yeah.
Ryan Stanek. And 2 good acquisitions. I mean, Ryan Stanek had a rough day today, so I wouldn't look at today in a vacuum. But 2 good acquisitions the Mets have made that are going to better this team. The bullpen is definitely shaping out to be much better, especially with, you mentioned, Sean Reed-Foley and Reed Garrett on the horizon. Daniel Nunez, he's on the IL for 15 days, but Mendoza basically, he didn't seem worried. It seemed like it was just going to be a minimum stay kind of deal. So hopefully everyone's back relatively shortly, and this bullpen's just going to be lengthened out, especially with acquisitions made at the end of June. And I can't remember when Alex Young was made. If that was beginning of July or end of June as well. But 2 of those guys coming in, and they've been nails, out of the bullpen. Mm-hmm. So they got guys in there, and I think there's an argument made that they could use another piece, but as of right now, we have a decent bullpen from the guys that are here and guys that are coming back.
It would help, and I think depending on, because now, I mean, I guess we can kind of get into it here.
Yeah.
The mindset of the Mets pre Senga's injury, we had talked about it the other night. Would you love to get a starting pitcher? Yes.
Yeah.
But I think the mindset then was, let's shore up this bullpen, let's get a bench bat and kind of go from there. If the starting pitcher falls into our lap, great. If not, it is what it is. I think now, I don't think I know, and I think the Mets know, now with this Senga injury, that whole mindset has now transitioned from, if we could get a starting pitcher, to we need to get a starting pitcher, and who are we going after? Now, There's been a lot of names thrown out today. And I think relatively all of the names that you and me have spoken about are absolutely an upgrade over what we've got, right? Because
Tyler McGill and David Peterson specifically.
Yes, right. So now, I think at this point, David Peterson's going to be here to stay rest of the season. But,
I think we got to expect one of them to be in the
If the Mets do nothing at the deadline, you're looking at Tyler McGill as that 5th guy in the rotation. And, I don't feel too good about that. And I know 90% of Mets fans don't feel too good about that. I love Tyler.
No one should.
But, he's lost it. He's lost it. And if
he's
you're seriously thinking about a playoff push, you can't look at him and say that that's an option.
No, at this point in his career, I think he's basically either need to change of scenery to start somewhere else, or he's bullpen bound. And I think everyone can agree that he's bullpen bound, at least here in New York, because his skill set fits the bullpen much better than an everyday or an every 5-day starter. So he's an odd case that he hasn't really worked in the bullpen, but he's never gotten a really extended stay. So this season's not the time to test that out, but I think eventually that transition needs to be made, or they just need to cut bait with him and give him a fresh start somewhere else where maybe he can get that comfortability with starting.
It's been brought up to me, to a couple of my friends, a couple of people that listen to the show. Hey, is there, if they can't get a starting pitcher, or if the price is too high on a starting pitcher, could they move Buto back into the rotation? And I mean, theoretically, you could.
Of course you can.
What you need to remember is that Buto's been in the bullpen now for about a month.
Yeah, give or take.
To
Yeah.
stretch him back out into being a starter is going to take a few weeks. And you're talking about August. This isn't May where you've got, a good amount of your season left. Right now, this is crunch time. There's not a lot of time left. So right now, he is a major asset in the bullpen. And I think he's better serving us in the bullpen. And, we've talked about that at length. But for those of you wondering, could we go back to Buto? You could, but it wouldn't benefit him, and it wouldn't really benefit us. Because by the time you get him back in starter shape, it's probably September, and he's going to get, 4 starts before the playoffs? And
I don't know if it'll necessarily take that long, but I mean, what you really have to look at with Buto is how good he's been in the bullpen. I mean, Thursday night's a prime example. He went 3 innings after – who started the game? Sevy? After Sevy could only go 5, I think 5 plus, he started the 6th. He went 3 innings, and he was absolutely lights out. To take that out of the bullpen, especially a bullpen that is definitely – I wouldn't say weaker because I think they have some strong pieces in the bullpen, but without him, it's much weaker. I think he's one of the foundation pieces like that we didn't know we needed or we didn't know we had that has now emerged as an absolute building block in that bullpen. And to take him out of that, I think it would crumble beneath you because what this rotation has proven to us that yes, we do get some consistency from Sevy and Minaya, but that's about it. Quintana, he can have great starts. He can have weak starts, and then Peterson and McGill are up in the air, and we can't afford to have both of them. So what it just shows us is having a guy when you have this many inconsistencies in your rotation, like Buto, he can go length after one of these guys has to come out early in a game. And it just shows to the need to add a starting pitcher, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We've already been told they're casting a wide net. They're making calls on different people here and there. And
so these are some of the names that are out there. Garrett Crochet from the White Sox, Eric Fetty from the White Sox, and I'm just naming names. This isn't me saying that the Mets are getting or not getting. Tyreek Skubal from the Tigers, Jack Flaherty from the Tigers. Blake Snell now is new to the market from the Giants. So all of these guys, I'm sure there's a few more. Potentially Chris Bassett, but the
I don't
Toronto
think
Blue
he's
Jays
going to be going. I think you say Kikuchi could be someone that goes from the Toronto Blue Jays. There's other names out there. There's probably going to be people that just come out of the woodworks. I mean, the Rockies are awful. I don't know why they're not considering selling off guys like a Cal Quantrill, who's pretty good from their on their team. And the A's have a couple of starters too that I wouldn't be surprised if they're at least shopped around. Whether they're traded or not is a different story. But
so Friday, we did our show Thursday before the Braves game.
No, we did a show Wednesday
before the Yankee game.
Yeah.
So Wednesday before the Yankee game, we so then it must have been the show we did trade deadline, All-Star break.
Yeah.
And we had talked last week about all of this, right? All the options that are out there. And one of the things I brought up, and I kind of thought while I was saying it that like, geez, are people going to think I'm high? Tyreek Skubal, the idea of potentially going after a Tyreek Skubal and taking on the dead weight of the Javi Baez contract and how that's a possibility. And I think we both kind of realized, probably not. And sure as shit, Friday, MLB Network, they're talking about the trade deadline. And Zach, what did they bring up?
They brought up that they even like almost mocked it to the Mets that the Mets could trade for Tyreek Skubal and eat that Javi Baez contract to lessen the prospect load and try to work out a deal like that. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. A lot of moving parts, but oddly enough, it could be something that happens considering that it's been floated out there.
That would be a blockbuster trade. And let me just say this. I think if I'm the Tigers, I think that that's silly, right? Because
Agreed.
You should look at this Javi Baez deal as just dead money. It is what it is. You sign the contract. Like Tyreek Skubal is a major, major piece, right? Like this is almost a Soto-like return that should be coming back the Tigers' way. This should be a return that should be able to set them up in 25, 26, 27, and beyond, right? Look at the position the Washington Nationals are in right now. Are they a great team? They're not. But those young kids that they got from that Soto deal, Now, it usually doesn't work out this way, right? It's usually like you maybe get one really good guy and a couple of starting players. But they've got legitimate pieces to build an organization around. And that's, if I'm a Tigers fan, that's what I would want to see back. So, selfishly here, as a Mets fan, I would love if we could bring in Scooble, bring back Javi, and hopefully that lowers the quality of prospects, or maybe the amount of prospects you've got to send the Tigers' way.
Yeah, and you know what's funny that we're talking about this now? That came out on Friday by MLB Network. DeComo, about 2 hours ago after the game, said the Mets are keying in on starting pitching help, as we know, but also infield help. Mm-hmm. Could that be alluding to something there, that maybe there's talks with the Tarek Skubal and Javi Baez? I don't know. It's all tinfoil hat stuff at this point, because a lot of things can change in the next, as Stevie Mack said, 45 hours. The clock is ticking. That's a lot of stuff to work on, in 2 days, less than 2 days.
Where we sit right now in this moment, what do you think? What news do you think we're going to wake up to tomorrow? Or
I don't know if we're going to wake
up
into any news tomorrow. I think,
or rather Tuesday morning or Tuesday night. What do you think? Because you have to imagine the Mets are going to make a move before everybody else. I mean, you have to hope that, because and once a move, I think once whoever moves first, I think it's going to be dominoes falling. Like, I don't think we're going to get a block, but like if we have whatever happens, right? Like, let's say Garrett Crochet gets traded to the Red Sox or the Yankees or something, right? I think that is going to set off a set of dominoes, and I don't think people are going to be waiting for Tuesday 6 p.m. I think they're going to move from there. Well,
it already shows people aren't waiting until Tuesday 6 p.m. The deals are getting done, and they're getting done quick. And I don't necessarily think that it's going to be a domino effect. I think the dominoes have already started falling. The pieces are falling. Teams are on the phone, ringing and calling. I mean, look at the Cubs. They're a team now. It's like 4 games back at 500, maybe even more. And they made a move for Isaac Paredes here. And apparently they're still talking about trading, what's his name, Jameson Tyone. But I don't know. It's like there's a lot of teams that are, not necessarily out of it. They're maybe from the outside looking in, but they're not too far out of it where they can consider themselves sellers or, hardcore buyers or hardcore sellers. But there's teams that are trying to make a push. So I think this is going to be an interesting race here. But that being said, the Mets trade, I think, is coming. It's going to be an interesting one. We're done with the outfield help, and they're looking for some infield help, because I think they're looking to move McNeil to the outfield permanently in the corner somewhere in left or right field. Maybe have him and Winker platoon, or him, Winker, and Tyrone Taylor platoon, a platoon of that sorts. And then Iglesias and someone else would kind of man second base. And could that be a Javi Baez deal? I don't know. That's going to be something that I think would go down to the wire, because I think that there's a lot of people that will be calling about Tarek Skubal, and just adding that other layer of Javi Baez would definitely make it more complicated.
A lot of this comes down to the Tigers' ownership's mindset, right? Yeah. Like, is ownership, like, are they really intrigued? Because I can tell you this. There is not another team in baseball that is willing to call the Tigers and say, hey, we'll take every cent of that Javi Baez deal off your hands today. No problem. You pay the minimum you have to pay, and we will take on the rest. There is nobody else in baseball. Not the Dodgers, not the Yankees. Huh?
If it saves them a prospect or two, Steve Cohen will do it.
Absolutely, right? And so if the Tigers are really intrigued in that, and they're really intrigued in the idea of, hey, we can get out of this deal, this will allow us to go after player X and player Y this offseason, and you know what I mean? Like, if they could sell that to themselves, then I think what all the noise around them doesn't matter, because no one's willing to do that. Now, if they are hyper-focused on the prospects, then I think if I'm in their shoes, you got to be talking to Baltimore, which they are, but Baltimore makes the most sense. It makes more
Baltimore
sense.
makes most sense. I don't know if either of those guys are going to go, because they're such big pieces, and to trade something like that at a deadline usually is pretty bad business, because for a team that's in contention, it worked out for Soto, and oddly enough, it ended up working out for the Nationals.
That's what I'm saying.
Before the Padres, and it's tough, because sometimes it doesn't work out that way. The seller doesn't make out doesn't really make out. I mean, we thought at the time the Nationals weren't going to make out on that deal. It just so happens that Mackenzie Gore has further developed into a mid-rotation starter. James Woods looks like a budding star, superstar, whatever you want to
CJ
call it.
Abrams is fantastic.
CJ Abrams is an all-star. I mean, he's not this superstar, but he's going to be a good player for the Nationals for years to come, a cornerstone in that team,
And I think the other kid that's playing center field, Young, I think he was a part of that deal. Was he not?
Well, Woods was. James Woods.
I know James Woods was, but the kid that's playing center field.
I don't know.
I know he.
I don't know. I thought the catcher. I thought their
great.
catcher was. I thought their catcher was. So again, this is a trade that's honestly worked out in the Nationals' favor. So it's going to be a lot of moving pieces. With guys like Stevie Mack brings up Flaherty, he's more likely to go because he's an easier contract to offload. He's an easier sell. He's an easier person to find the right value because he's not someone of this all-star, the superstar category. Guys like Eric Fetty. Blake Snell is an interesting one because the Giants are red hot and he's been awesome as of late. So he might be another tough one another one that's tough to sell. But there's guys out there that will be sold. There's going to be guys we're not even talking about that's going to be sold. But of the people we're talking about, Jack Flaherty and Eric Fetty are probably the two that I see most likely, and Jameson Taillon.
The Giants are 3.5 out.
Yep.
The Mets are back to the 3 spot. Diamondbacks are a half game out. Cardinals are a game out. Pirates are 2 out. So going back to that Tacomo tweet where he was talking about the Mets going after infield as well as starting pitching. Let's move away from the potential of a Tyreek Skubal and Javi Baez deal. What do you think happens, right? So you named all those starting pitchers. Who's out there on the infield? I mean, I feel like I think we've just been so hyper focused on the pitching that we haven't looked too much. But
we haven't thought about it. But the infield's an interesting one. I mean, there's guys out there. There's Rengifo from the Angels who's out there, but he's someone that I don't see as a platoon guy, more of a starter, unless they want to move McNeil to the outfield full time and give this guy the second base role. There was Isaac Paradis, who's now moved to the Cubs. I don't really know who else is out there. There's guys out there, but no one of major note. I mean, it's really been a lot of outfielders and then starting pitchers on the market aside from this guy Isaac Paradis. I haven't really heard too much about anyone else.
So here's something that's interesting, but he's more of an outfielder. Connor Joe from the Pirates.
Yeah.
He plays first base. I know he played outfield in Colorado. That's not really infield help, I guess. That's just a first baseman, which doesn't really, make a difference. I don't really know. Like I'm just thinking of like kind of journeyman guys that are on, short contracts. Like, you're going to talk to the Marlins about somebody? Like where are you getting? I don't really know you're getting infield help, but where from everything we've read.
Yeah.
Do you think the Mets make a move in the next 24 hours? And B, what do you think that move is going to make? What do you think that move is going to be? Just based off everything we've read.
Based off of everything we've read, based on everything we're hearing, I don't think there's going to be a move. I don't think there's going to be another big-time starting pitcher move for probably until Tuesday. I think it's going to be hard-pressed to find the right deal in terms of value. I think it's a lot of these teams are asking for a lot in return. Andy Martino tweeted this out and wrote a little bit of an article about it, maybe an hour, half hour ago, that the Mets are finding trouble about the insane valuations of these starting pitchers. So it's going to be something that's going to be hard to pull the trigger on, considering Stearns' beliefs in not trading, all this talent for rental pieces. Maybe he does it for a guy under control, but I don't necessarily see him trading a ton of top 10, top 15 prospects in the system for a guy like Eric Fetty or Jameson Taillon. Maybe one or two guys you're willing to part with them amongst two smaller part pieces. Yes, but nothing of nothing major in the farm system. So I think this is going to come down to the wire and whether these teams are willing to budge, or who's willing to budge, is it the seller or the buyer? And as of right now, we haven't seen a real sale on these top tier starting pitchers. So it could be something where that they kind of get antsy and decide to take a little bit less, and then everything will kind of come crashing down in terms of on that front. Everything else, I think that you'll see smaller moves here and there. Relief pitchers, you've seen them go. I think you've seen position players go. So I think we'll see more and more of that. I think the starting pitchers are going to come down to the wire.
So you don't see the Mets having a new starting pitcher until
After the
Tuesday at
deadline.
6 p.m.
Yeah, I don't see it happening until after the deadline. I think it will happen. It's just a matter of who. So I don't think the Mets. I don't think the Mets are going to go and overpay for someone. I think they will if it's someone under control, but it's got to be.
I think at the end of the day, I think everyone's going to overpay. Like, that's just what it is. Like, it is a seller's market. There are a lot of teams that are looking to add pieces, and there's not a lot of teams that are selling or committed to selling. I think a lot of these teams, like the Tigers included, I think they're kind of looking around like, we don't really want to part ways with Skubal. So if you need to blow us away with a deal we literally can't refuse. And, if the White Sox, I don't know who the fuck is running things there. So, but the same with Garrett Crochet there. Like, if you're the White Sox, Eric Fetty is one thing, but like
the White Sox are going to dump house. The White Sox are going to clear house.
But that might not mean Garrett Crochet.
No, but I think it means just about everyone else.
Yeah. Eric Fetty. You think Luis Robert is definitely gone?
I think he might be gone.
Mm-hmm.
That might be, again, that's another one that might be tough to
So give a name here. Give a name.
Give a name.
Come back to. Like, who, Tuesday, 6 p.m., who is a New York Met?
It just feels like Eric Fetty's the guy. I mean, just the linkage in the offseason, he was the first guy that we kind of had the Mets linked to in terms of starting pitchers. So it feels like it's going to be Eric Fetty. Do I necessarily love that? I like it. I don't love it, and it depends on the price. But I think come Tuesday, we are going to have Eric Fetty here on this team, and he's going to be our fifth starter replacing Tyler Miguel. And that being said, I don't think we're going to go for any more relievers unless we can get a little package deal coming back to us. I think the infielder is going to be minor. I don't think it's going to be someone major. I think it's going to be someone that you can conceivably split time with and replace Ben Gamble, because I think the Mets have enough outfielders on the roster. They have, Tyrone Taylor, Harrison Bader, Brandon Nimmo, Jesse Winker, and then Jeff McNeil. I think we're going to replace Ben Gamble with another infielder, and that'll round out our deadline. John Heyman and Martino both said something to the effect of the Mets may not look to add more relievers, at least high-end relievers, with the Sean Reed-Foley and Reed Garrett on the horizon. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I think they could use another arm, but I think at this point, if it means putting more, eggs in the basket of the starting pitching market, I'll live with it, because I think there is some depth down in AAA. There's the guy Matt Gage we got from the Dodgers still there. We obviously have Reed Garrett and Reed Foley coming back. And there's other guys down in AAA that could make an impact here or there. They've been calling guys up to pitch in relief in AAA. So there's arms to pull up to the big leagues if need be.
My
Where you at with things?
My heart, especially after hearing that, I want to say Skubal, but I think it's such a massive thing, but
that's an off-season trade. You really don't see any trades like that.
That's also the way you would describe a Soto trade, and
Soto was one though. Yeah.
What?
It was one guy. Now you got to worry about trying to figure out the value of Skubal and subtract that from what you're taking back in the hobby. It's a lot of moving parts. I'm not saying it can't be done.
But part of me wonders, we're on the track of this, like, maybe the Mets call up and say, like, okay, we're taking on Javi. You're still asking for way too much for Skubal. We can't part ways with this. What about Jack Flaherty? We'll take Jack Flaherty, and with that, we will take Javi off your hands. And in return, maybe we give them an Alex Ramirez and something else or like maybe one of our, a Vassell or a Hamill, something like that, like a good prospect, but not something great, whereas if you didn't take off that Javi deal, which something like that, I don't know that I would particularly love long-term, because like Jack's only got a 1-year deal.
He's done
you would have to extend him, but at the same rate, you're not giving up prospects and you're filling the void this year. So I think
I think it's a lot of money to take on for a rental piece,
for a
especially if
rental
it.
piece, yeah,
Yeah, I think it makes
yeah.
sense for the school bowl. It doesn't really make sense for Jack Flaherty, and also Jack Flaherty kind of doesn't fit what Stearns wants to do at the deadline. He's not really trading for a ton of guys that are rental pieces. He's not going to give up any big time prospects for any rental pieces. So, and I don't know if the Tigers would really want to do that because I think you're kind of someone who our
Well,
value is going to be lesser than
it
these other starting pitchers
it
because he's
just
not controllable.
how money motivated are they? Like the Tigers are
Yeah,
not an
that's
organization
true.
that spends a lot of money. So if you're if you're telling them like, hey, we'll just remove this, like we'll
Yeah,
just get rid of this burden you have financially for the next 3 years. We'll just get rid of that. Like
yeah.
if that makes you happy. So come Tuesday, come Tuesday. Um, they're talking about infield, but I don't buy into that. I think the only part of that infield that makes sense is if they were to do this Tyreek Skubal Javi Baez trade.
Well, it makes
Um,
sense in the fact that one, you got to get Ben Gamble off this team, and two, I think Neal has more value for you in the outfield, and Iglesias has proven to be a reliable second baseman and a third baseman replacement in late innings, and I think getting another infielder to replace Ben Gamble would behoove them because I think going out there and expecting uh, what's his name, Iglesias, to be your everyday second baseman isn't good business. Getting someone there that you're comfortable with being a starting second baseman if Iglesias really starts to get exposed, like he kind of has of late. And I
he had
wish
like a
I hope
very
I wish
clutch hit Friday night.
he did have a clutch hit for Friday night. There wasn't really much clutch hitting going on. It was kind of just exploding. I think it was Thursday we're talking about, but
Oh, he hit the rocket down the line. Maybe it was
yeah,
Thursday.
but
Um,
Uh, like just running him out there every day as your starting second baseman, it doesn't sit right with me. I mean, I hope he continues to produce, but this is someone that's kind of
but
showing
I
signs
don't think
of
that's going to be the nail in the
coming back down to
coffin.
earth.
I don't think that's the nail in the coffin. If Jose Iglesias is playing second base for you the rest of the year, it's not great,
No,
but
no, no.
it's a lot worse to have
Yeah.
Tyler McGill pitching once every
No, and
five
I
days.
think it's clear that the
You
starting
know,
pitching is what the Mets are going for, and it just shows how big that Sang injury was because kind of seems like they weren't in the starting pitching market really until the Sang injury, at least not in the top, like the upper echelon starting
yeah.
pitching market. They were kind of maybe dabbling, casting a net out there, seeing what was available, trying to find someone to fill that six starter role. But with his injury now, you need someone to take over as a as your
He's a
1-2
top
with
end.
Sevy. Yeah,
Yeah,
you need
you need a
you need
top
a
end.
guy that can fill in up at the top with Sevy. So,
Yeah,
and Mania is a serviceable starting pitcher, but he's too inconsistent. Him and Quintana
yeah.
are too inconsistent. And even Sevy to do a degree is inconsistent, but he's been someone who you trust much more than
And
these other guys.
you're trying to build for October. You don't want to go into a 5-game, a 7-game series knowing game one is Sevy and game two is Mania. Like,
Yeah.
Sevy, sure. Mania game two, like that could really set up a bad domino effect, right? You lose game one, Mania comes out and kind of shits the bed in game two, and now you're looking at,
Yeah.
you're in the NLDS and you're starting out 0-2, and then maybe now you're going on the road.
Yeah.
Like that's a disaster. You don't want to be in that situation. Um, I think come Tuesday 6 o'clock. I don't think they'll have an infielder as much as
No,
Nah, I don't see it.
I don't really know what's out there.
I'll be
We
honest
haven't
with you.
really been looking towards that, so it's kind
No,
of weird.
no, exactly. Our eyes haven't been there. We don't know. We don't know what they're doing up in that front office. I think there's going to be a starter here, and I think there's going to be a bullpen guy. Bullpen guy. Let's say Andrew Chafin, and probably just because I've wanted him for the past like 3 years now. And starter, I think what you said about Jameson Tyone makes it just the Yankee connection, the fact that Mendoza's worked with him, the fact that he's got good rapport with Sevy and Bader. It to me just makes the most sense. And like you said, like Stearns is not one unless it's a blockbuster deal, which he's done before with Yelich
Yeah.
in Milwaukee. So it wouldn't shock me if we woke up tomorrow morning or Wednesday.
Well, we woke up this morning to Jesse
We woke up,
Winker stuff.
exactly. So it wouldn't shock me if we Tyreek Skubal is coming to Queens, but I think at the end of the day, I think it'd be like Jameson Tyone, and maybe a rotational, infielder, but I don't think so. I think that and a reliever. As much as they said that they're not in the reliever market, I think they are in the reliever market. Like, I just think they're so hyper focused on starting pitching, as they
Yeah,
should be.
I think we will get a reliever come Tuesday 6 p.m. I think there will be a new reliever on our team because I think today them throwing out what's his name Stanek was a trial run, and yeah, Stevie Mack. I think Cal Control could be an interesting option. It's just the Rockies are such a weird organization. We don't know when or if they're selling. I mean, they have someone in Ryan McMahon who's going to be super valued and could have gotten a huge haul for them, and now they're keeping him. It's just like the whole who was it years ago? Not the shortstop.
Oh, wow. Trevor Story.
Trevor Story. They just kept holding on to him, holding on to him, holding on to him. What happened?
Yeah.
They had nothing for him.
Same with John Gray. They held on to John Gray, and then he just walked.
Yeah, they are a poorly run organization. I couldn't tell you what's going on. That's why I haven't really even been bringing them up because I don't know what's going on over there. That is a organization that they don't know their head from their ass. To be completely honest, it just baffles me that they're even, I don't even know what to say, but that they're even around, that they're even thought about. But that being said, yeah, I really don't know what's going to happen with the Mets because it just kind of seems like there was a clear understanding of what the Mets were going to do. It was they're going to go out and get one, probably two relievers, and then they're going to go out and get out.
And then in a right
they
field,
got their and yeah, exactly. You got your right fielder, you got some bullpen help, you got some smaller bullpen help early in the season. They were going to go out and get two more big guys, and that was that. But obviously, I think there was going to be a starter involved. Now things changed. Senga got injured. I think you got to focus on that starter. So I think that's what they're focused on right now. But I do think we're going to end up with a reliever. I think it's going to be in some sort of package deal. It's not going to be someone that you guys have heard much of. I think someone from San Francisco, Tyler Rogers. I think Snell's still on the market. There's a lot of moving parts here with this deadline, and it's kind of tough to pin down on who's selling and who's not. We obviously know the White Sox are selling, but it seems like these two guys that they're selling are just they're really
the Marlins have
drawing a ton of value,
and they're like
it's going to be a ton to get him. Ton. You saw how much Carlos Estevez got. 2 top 7 prospects in the Philly system. So Tanner Scott's going to get some big time prospects in return.
Oh, when did the Phillies do that? Today?
Yesterday.
I think I remember reading this on Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yesterday, Friday, whatever. But I think I know I said it earlier. I don't even remember what I said, but I think Snell's out there. I think Snell's there to be had, and I think the Mets would be stupid not to call them. And I think there's some good relievers in that bullpen. I think you can offer a nice package.
I would love if we woke up like Tuesday morning and Blake Snell was a Met. That would be awesome.
I really think it's going to be Blake Snell. I have the sneaking suspicion, the fact that they're a good team, they're an all right team. They're making a run, but I think they kind of are going to have to come to the realization that Snell and some of these relievers are going to have to be parted with because they need to replenish that.
I mean, it also comes down to what the Giants think of themselves next year, because if you're the Giants, yes, it would be nice to get this haul, but he's contracted with you for the next 2 years, right? He signed a 3-year deal.
2.
Okay.
Next year's the last year, but it's also like a $38 million contract next year, $35 million, something like that. It's mid-30s, so it's someone that's going to cost a lot. It's going to prohibit them from going after some stars in the offseason. And I don't necessarily know if this team is good enough as is to make it run like some other teams are. And I think it would be smart of them to consider selling off a bullpen piece or two and Snell to recoup some value and retool for next year. They made a nice push, but it's not all there right now. And I think Snell's someone that's clearly going to opt into that contract, and that's a lot of money to eat. And Steve Cohen can do it. I don't know how much it's really going to save you in terms of prospects by going after someone like Snell, but I think it could save you a little bit. We'll see.
Steve
Logan Webb. Yeah, he's a great pitcher, but they're not trading him. He's there. He's their Juan Maris. He's their Matt Cain, Tim Lincecum, Madison Bumgarner, for all you old heads, Juan Marichal. So he's their next big starter. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot going on. We still got 2 games, right? 2 games? No, 1 game. 1 and half a day of games.
Yeah. What time are they playing Tuesday?
I think it's a late game. I think Wednesday's the day game. If I'm not
Um,
mistaken. So now tomorrow's the Lindor bobblehead giveaway.
okay. Tomorrow is Quintana. Tuesday, no, no pitcher. And then Severino's Wednesday. Sevy goes Wednesday. Monday is Quintana. Who would go Tuesday? Manaya?
Who would go? Seven. Seven, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Sevy's going Wednesday, it says.
Yeah, Tuesday, you said?
Tuesday has no pitcher.
Oh, it'd probably be Manaya. Yeah, Manaya.
Manaya, right? It's weird that they don't have anything up there right now.
Really?
Yeah, they
don't
play
have
at
anything.
7:00. So, you know, that would really give them that would give them a big boost, man.
Joel.
Big
And
boost.
I think going into this Minnesota series, I mean, we have Simeon Woods Richardson tomorrow, someone that's someone that was in our system. Yeah, they do have Manaya, by the way.
Where? I'm on the
I
score
saw
app.
it, but this is a series that's a very winnable series. It's a team they're a middling team. The Twins, they're a solid team, but they're out without Carlos
I
Correa.
was about to say they're out Correa.
You
Yeah.
know, they don't have the best starting rotation, so I think this is a team we could really use it as kind of a jumping off point, as a way to build some momentum into this road trip. You know, we have a day off, which is nice. So any acquisitions that are made, they're going to be ready for the road series. Well, they're going to be probably ready for Wednesday, but they're also going to be here, acclimated, and ready for this upcoming road trip. So this is a big series to take 2 out of 3. You know, push yourself back up into the wild card. You know, put back up into that top 3. Or I think they are in 3 right now, but you know, get yourself some room, or you know, fight your way back towards the top of that wild card race, and really prove to yourselves, you know, that you're a good team and you are going to make it run. You know, because I think the last 2 days were kind of deflating, not only for the fans, us, but also them. You know, to kind of go out there and have 2 stinkers like that is tough, especially after someone like Senga goes down.
So Zach, who would you recommend Mets fans to follow before we close out the show? Who would you be looking at to give you actual trade deadline news? I know I like going to MLB trade rumors. They're usually
Yeah,
pretty
I like
close.
for specifically for Mets stuff. I mean, you can't go wrong
Tacoma,
following the
yeah.
big Decomo, even Martino. I mean, he's the one that broke the Stanek trade, oddly enough. But Wardy at NYM, he's a good. He's really good. He breaks down. He has a lot of videos. Our boy Chris CPNY, he does some streams. There's a bunch of guys out there, so you know, just follow it around. And then also a few other guys. Jack Ramsey. I don't know his
Yeah.
Twitter handle. I like him. He's good. He's got some good takes. And Mike Mayer.
Okay.
And some other guys in Chatham and Mets Cast Pod. You know, a bunch of guys in that chat too. That good follows.
We got anything else?
No, I mean back tomorrow.
Yes. We will see you
Yep.
all tomorrow. Hopefully some good news. And until then,
Let's go Mets.
let's go Mets. Let's fucking go Mets. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow
Thanks,
night.
guys. See you tomorrow.